folks, welcome to Metal Wani. This is your host Vitek here with the German thrash metalers Ducented, and we have a vocalist Lief Jensen with us. How are you doing, sir?
Actually, very good. I guess I could say we're almost a Dutchman now, with 4/5 of the lineup being from the Netherlands. But yeah, that's very cool, man. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. With just a couple of weeks left for Ducented highly anticipated album Intermination. How's the excitement level in the band right now?
Well, I guess we are looking forward to getting the new music heard and released. The hard work is now behind us. Like we had a long process of songwriting throughout the last year. We went into recordings throughout the end of the year, early this year. I think we wrapped up the album in April, so it feels very, very fresh for us, to be honest. And therefore, we're as excited as somebody who maybe hasn't heard it. We're still letting the material sink. We're rehearsing right now the songs for the live performances. It's an exciting new chapter for us as well.
Awesome, man. The chapter continues with the album name starting with I. This is your 10th album, so something's got to be there, being a 10th studio album. So when I listen to it, especially the first single which came out, On a Collision Course, it delivers exactly what I, as a fan, listened throughout the album. A dark, aggressive, fast, and brutal piece of music that definitely will make your ears beg for mercy. So how have the fans responded to the track so far?
I think good. I mean, to be honest, I'm not much of an online feedback seeker or something like that. So I think I'm gonna be one of those who, once the album is fully released and people has heard the full album, then I will look for my feedback and speak to the people who care about the band and who can compare it with where we come from. But I think from what I hear, what I see, like the first wave of reaction is pretty positive. I mean, we went out with the album track with the album opener. The track On a Collision Course is like the door to the album, and it's a very, I'm gonna say, very straightforward, almost typical Ducented song. We wanted to introduce a new mix, a new character of sound. We wanted to introduce a new approach in the songwriting, because this song was written by our second guitarist Rory, who has never written for the band before. So that's sort of like the first impression we wanted to give to the people. But obviously there is a lot of diversity and a lot of depth in the rest of the other material. So I think the real reaction can only happen after everybody has had a chance to listen to the full album.
Right.
We're not a single type of song band. We don't have that hit thing in our music. Hopefully this is one good example of many more on the album.
Definitely. Now, fans tend to consider Impact as Ducented best album, but when I listen to Intermination, I feel it delivers, a much better effort by the band. But for you as a founding member, how pressurized do you feel when you're writing an album to make sure that it outshines all your previous albums?
Well, first of all, thanks for the kind words. We appreciate you taking the time to dig the album and actually go back and compare it. I mean, it's weird. I tend to be the guy that doesn't really look back too much. So whenever I'm living in the present and looking forward to the future, I don't necessarily go back and compare it to see what place I'm at.
Okay.
If the material feels good for us in the shape we are right now and in the atmosphere and the vibe that we have between the band members, then it's gotta be good. This is what we're thinking. I have the feeling that this is a bigger group effort than some records we have done in the past, because everybody was involved with the songwriting. We took a lot of organic time in the rehearsal room to let the material sink and have everybody add their parts. So yeah, I personally think that it probably has the content that it takes to make the next step forwards for the band. I mean, when you said that Impact is a record that probably many consider as the best, I would like to agree, because in a way, a lot of things were right on that album, and it has a very compact, very energetic feeling to it. I mean, a lot of those songs on that album are still part of our live set, and I guess that shows that it was a strong album. But you know, it's all an album does for a band like us. You know, like I said before, we're not a hit single type of band, so we write the best album possible, and what an album does for us is to reflect what the band is at around the time that they're recording the album. You know, it's a moment in time, and sometimes it's a good moment, sometimes it's a bad moment. You cannot fake it, you know.
Right, right. Now, it must be really annoying for you guys. I mean, you have established your own sound over the period of almost 2 decades. But you know, when the Impact came out, and the double album as well, the Natural and the Innocent, people kind of compared you with Slayer. Now that's a good thing in one way, but in the other way, the comparisons tend to make kind of lame, because everybody in the end wants to make music that's different. Different.
Yeah, that's true.
Already been done.
That's true, but then again, you know, I never took that comparison as anything negative. I mean, it's big words, you know. Slayer is one of the biggest and heaviest bands on the world, you know, and obviously we are influenced by them in our style in general. So it's not a fair comparison. I mean, that's, you know, so in a way, I think it helped indicate what type of approach and what type of style we play for people that has never heard the band. I mean, we have a little bit misleading band name, so in a way, it's cool that we got those comparisons, because it pushes people in the right direction.
Right.
Then again, you know, I guess we are a next generation in a way, so we're not trying to copy what our inspirations, you know, already played 10 years earlier, but we're trying to, you know, do our own delivery of the style in the current times. You know, I mean, I believe we have a lot more. You know, Slayer probably have never heard about death metal before. You know, like,
right.
I don't think those guys care about death metal. I think they care about traditional heavy metal,
right.
Whereas we don't care so much about traditional heavy metal that they would care for. We care more about Slayer and thrash metal bands. So it's a different generation and a different type of influence. I think we're a lot more death metal and more technical oriented than Slayer were. But yeah, I always took that as a compliment, even though it was very big shoes to fill. You know, I mean, we probably work with 1% of the attention and 0.5% of the budgets that Slayer work with, you know. So we gotta be honest, you know, who could expect us to make a better album than Slayer have in their peak in the late 80s, you know?
Right.
It's impossible.
True, I totally agree with that. But one could seriously doubt that Dew Scented is a death thrash metal band, and I'm sure many of them, you know, agree that this isn't exactly the most frightening names. It could be best portrayed by, let's say, a doom or a folk group.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. I mean, how can I put this? When we started out the band, I think we had quite a big influence by the doom death scene around the time. You know, bands like My Dying Bride, Paradise Lost, Anathema. Not necessarily in style, but I personally like that stuff a lot, and I like the way that they were writing all these semi-poetic lyrics, and a little bit like you know, this is maybe the foundation for the band name. You know, I think originally it was taken from a poetry book, and I just thought, you know, hey, there is no metal bands called like that, and maybe that makes us stand out, and maybe it's mysterious and it's enigmatic, and you know, and I agree with you. If we were called Violator, or if we were called, you know, Face Puncher or something like that, then people would say, oh, it's probably a pretty heavy, aggressive metal band. You know, I mean, our name doesn't give away the style, which is in the long run not positive, but then again, it's an original name, and that's what we were looking for when we were young and starting, you know.
That's awesome. Now, getting back to the album, like be it the blasting drum session, or be the towering riffs on songs, let's say Scars of Creation or even Demon Seed, everything all is encompassed into a brutal atmosphere. And that kind of, you know, effort kind of resembles, like I said, about Impact, but also adds some nuances of albums like Issue or even Icarus. So what exactly do you guys, you know, how do you guys, you know, start writing? Because here, what I feel is this album contains a good, you know, good mixture of melodic passage, yet you don't tend to lose that brutal essence. So
yeah, well, that's a good thing, you know.
It's very important.
Yeah, I thank you. That's a big compliment. I mean, honestly, we're just trying to make songs that are fun for us to play, you know, and we respect the tradition and the trademark sound of the band, obviously, because this is what we like doing. You know, we like taking our own elements make a step forwards with them. So hopefully we will sound identifiable as, as the band that we are, but at the same time, add something new and, more melody, more technicality, more brutality. That's all good with me. I think it's a different lineup since the last 3 years, and I think that Intermination shows a good progression as far as a group effort for us,
Right.
and it's all going in the right direction because when we were writing this album, we had a lot of fun. We were very challenged, and everybody had the feeling that he was making a personal step, and at the same time, as a band, we were making a step. So everybody was like very, very positive and satisfied with the effort. I also think that going back to Dan Swino to do the mix of the record was a good idea because it adds something different. There's a lot of natural, organic depth in the sound.
Right.
And like you were saying, the key thing is we always try to be powerful. We try to be really heavy, aggressive, and mean in how we write the music. So if it is melodic or if it is more sometimes slower or if it's more atmospheric, that's all cool with me as long as there is something biting you in the ass at the same time.
Right. That's really good. Like you said about the mix, because it's easy to differentiate between the instruments, especially in the parts that have faster drumming and guitar work. So Don Suono has done a great job in making sure that everything stands out rather than sounding too overpowering.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's good to hear because this is what we wanted to achieve. We wanted, we have been part of that extreme mixing scene before. We have all these albums that are super top-notch, loud, screaming on all levels, and everything is just like, ark. And we wanted to take a step, not a step back, but a step to the side and create something that is equally powerful, yet at the same time has air to breathe, so that you can hear the instruments. You can, the vocals oftentimes were like sort of like on top of the music. We wanted them more integrated, and wanted a feeling where, where it's possible to listen to it without getting headache, and at the same time still feeling that it's powerful. Because our music is very extreme. I gotta be honest. If somebody doesn't like our style, he's gonna have a hard time going through the 50 minutes of the record. So we wanted to create something that is, it's not meant to be poppier or something, but it's meant to be relaxed in the way how it punches you in the face.
Absolutely. Now, how about your vocals? Raspy, amazing, insane. I got no words.
Thank you, man. That's a lot of words.
Yeah, that's like it's a cool way to see how the kind of variation you bring in. I mean, it's as a death thrash band, as stale vocals can definitely disappoint a lot of fans. But on this album, it's not just on this album. To be honest, in all your albums, it's been a good growth for you as a front man, as a leading member of the band, to make yourself better with each album. So it's really good to see that sparks of Leif kicking ass on stage and on album as well. So what sort of context were you working on this, especially lyrics, because it's very important as a musician to express what you be facing throughout your life.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, thanks for the compliments and the kind words. I mean, to be honest, I'm always trying the best, and sometimes the shape of, I mean, the voices for us is an instrument, obviously. We're not a like I said, like a hook line pop oriented band. So the voice is also filled mostly with sheer aggression. So it has to be powerful and angry most of the time. So it is limited in its expression. I'm not a guy who sings melodic, who brings in a lot of variation, but I try to support the power of the song. And I feel that it was a very good session for me because we had a lot of work on the vocals. I recorded in a studio together with our sound engineer who has been doing our live sound for 7 or 8 years now. So he challenged me a lot to work on my strength and basically get the right takes for the vocals. Nice. Because it's it always comes down to the feeling, and if you're feeling uneasy, then it's not going to be perfect. If you're feeling stressed, it's not going to be perfect. If you're feeling too mellow and too happy or too tired, then it's not going to be perfect. And he sort of tried to get the right moment out of me, and for the lyrics, I guess it's just an extension of the sound, So whenever the music inspired me to use to use our songs as a channel to get rid of a certain emotion about a certain topic. It's about it's about everyday life stuff. It's
Yeah.
about emotional emotional disappointments. It's about stuff that is wrong going on in the world or in my personal lives, and I just try to use the songs to bring that out and to get rid of those negativities for my personal sanity, basically.
Right. That's awesome. Glad to hear that. Now, German thrash scene is legendary. Now, be it Creator, be it Sodom, be it Destruction, Tankard, countless bands. Scented as well. Everything's getting better with time, and I, as a thrash fan, definitely would easily, I would say that you guys beat the shit out of the United States thrash scene in terms of consistency. So, what's your take on this? Of course, there are fans who consider German scene like they call it as Teutonic thrash metal scene, and then we have a different thrash metal scene in states with Exodus, Death Angel, etc. So, looking at the consistency, how do you, now let's say you as a fan of thrash metal, how do you feel that which country has, or which specific continent has maintained that consistency in thrash metal?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think for quite a longer period of time in the early '90s, thrash metal was not very consistent anywhere. I think a lot of bands tried to either get more commercial or more accessible, more like soft in that sense, to go to live through the hard times of grunge, basically, or when the underground was moving towards death metal and black metal or even gothic metal, then the thrash bands looked a little bit like out of place and old fashioned.
Right.
So some of them were changing, some split up, some actually did really really bad albums in the 90s. I think there's always been like a nice counter scene to each other. The Central European and German thrash scene have something very peculiar about the sound. It's very raw, very primitive, very like balls out. Whereas some of the US bands seem to be a little bit more technical, more I'm gonna say more melodic, at the same time as they were sometimes better players and better songwriters as well. I mean, we, as far as I am concerned, I would like to think we as Scented were more influenced by the U.S. side of things. Starting out, I mean, especially the Bay Area was a big stepping stone for us. Like bands like you mentioned, Exodus, Death Angel, Testament, even early Metallica. Of course, Slayer. Those type of bands definitely left an impression with us and made us start playing our instruments the way we play it now. Obviously we are from Europe, so we're part of what's happening here. Everybody who you meet along the way when you make experiences leaves a certain mark on you. So I think there is a lot of influences that just get mixed in throughout the years. I personally am a huge fan of the first wave of death metal. So that's probably where our sound comes from. There is bands like, I don't know, Exhorter, Malevolent Creation, Believer, those type of first generation thrash death metal bands that we probably are a part of. I mean, a lot of those bands that used to play the music we played split up around the time that we started.
Yeah.
So that was sort of weird, when we came in '93, '94, people were like, "What are you doing? This thing is not very in." I'm like, "Well, we haven't thought about it. We're just playing what we like to play."
True. That's awesome. So, what are the plans of taking this album live? I'm sure fans are gonna love every bit of it when these tracks are unleashed. So, any tours coming up, festivals, etc. this year?
Yeah. We're gonna start, upon release of the album. Obviously, we're eagerly waiting for that in June. Now that we have a run of concerts, both at festivals, some open air festivals, and then also support shows. We're doing some shows with Exodus, with Cavalera Conspiracy over here. So that should be good, just to kickstart the record. And then we're doing an own tour in October throughout Europe, where we are gonna take out friends of ours. It's Angelo Zapatrida from Spain, a very cool,
nice,
very very promising band. I like them a lot.
Amazing.
Yeah, and we've played with them before. A really good live band, and we're also checking out No Return from France, which is a similar band to our style. Basically, it's also a hybrid of thrash and death metal, and we toured with them 10 years ago, so it's going to be good to reconnect, and I think it's a very strong package, like for the connoisseur type of live show visitors, because it's bands that definitely exist to play live, and that's what we wanted to bring in as a package. And then apart from that, we're looking into more opportunities. We're discussing festivals for next year. I mean, more international appearances. Hopefully, we'll take this out to other continents as well. Go back to Asia next year. Stuff like that.
Awesome, awesome. So before I conclude, Leif, how about you define the album Intermination in just one sentence?
Isn't that your job? Well, I
go on and on.
Well, I would say this is due sent in 2015. I mean, this, that's all I can say, because I think people know what to expect from a band like us, but they have not heard our current shape, because this is like the most up to date that we can showcase the band. And it has all that people might want to hear. It has all that we want to present to people, and hopefully they will enjoy something of it without getting the impression that we're running out of steam. I think we are as eager and as challenged as we have never been before. So we're in a good moment of time right now.
It was an awesome time having a chat with you, discussed about the album. I look forward to see you guys in UK on a run. Hopefully this year you guys might play in London anytime soon, so I'll definitely catch you there.
Would hope so. I mean, it's been a while. We last came through with Death Angel, and that's almost 2 years ago again. So it would be really cool to be able to come back. We always had a good time in the UK, so hopefully that it won't be very long until we manage to return.